From the very beginning, Jeanette Jennings stood firmly beside her daughter, Jazz, a young transgender girl navigating a world that often struggled to understand, accept, or even label her. "I hope that by sharing my story," Jazz once said, "I could help redefine womanhood and show that even though I was born biologically male, I still embody all the qualities of femininity." Through TV appearances, best-selling books, and national praise, Jeanette became a symbol of unwavering love and advocacy. She smiled in front of cameras, defended Jazz in the media, and inspired countless families. But beneath that public image was a quieter, more complex truth, one Jeanette had never fully shared. Until now, from the outside, the Jennings family appeared like any other middle-class household in Florida. Jeanette and her husband, Greg, raised 4 children in a loving, structured environment filled with the everyday chaos of parenting, homework battles, laughter from the living room, and the busy rhythm of daily life. But behind closed doors, something extraordinary was happening. Their youngest child, Jazz, stood out in ways that no one could have expected. Even before she could form full sentences, Jazz gravitated toward dolls, princess dresses, and everything traditionally considered feminine. At just 15 months old, she was draping herself in her mother's clothes, and doing so not out of occasional curiosity, but as part of her daily routine. Most notably, Jazz insisted on being seen and treated as a girl. At first, Jeanette and Greg believed it might be a phase. But as time passed, Jazz's behavior only intensified. By age 3, she was clearly identifying as female, correcting people who referred to her as a boy, and breaking down in distress when forced to wear boys' clothing. Concerned and confused, the Jennings sought help. After extensive consultations with doctors and psychologists, a specialist explained that Jazz displayed all 3 key indicators of being transgender: persistent, insistent, and consistent gender identity. In 2003, Jazz was officially diagnosed with gender dysphoria, a medical condition in which a person's gender identity does not align with their assigned sex at birth. Back then, resources were scarce. The internet offered little support. Even professionals were still learning. Jeanette and Greg were largely on their own, but they made a bold decision to support Jazz fully and unconditionally. Though Jazz had always lived as a girl at home, starting school brought new challenges. Students, and even some teachers, didn't understand her. She was mocked, excluded from play, and treated as an outsider. The bathroom situation became especially painful, denied access to the girls' restroom, and unsafe in the boys'. Every day brought new stress and embarrassment. Jeanette and Greg tried to work with the school, reaching out to teachers and administrators, but no one wanted to address the issue. It felt like silence born out of fear. So, the Jennings took a bold step. They anonymously contacted a local newspaper to share their daughter's story. The article, though unnamed, clearly pointed to their family. The effect was immediate. The school could no longer ignore the issue. With the help of doctors, lawyers, and experts, the Jennings fought for Jazz's rights, and won. Jazz was allowed to wear girls' clothing and use the girls' bathroom. It was a major victory, but one that left emotional scars. These early years shaped Jeanette's fierce determination to protect Jazz, but the public had yet to see the internal battles she fought in silence. In 2007, everything changed. At just 6 years old, Jazz appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show and then on 2020 with Barbara Walters. For many Americans, this was the first time hearing directly from a transgender child. Jazz's calm words, "I am a girl," were simple yet groundbreaking. The interviews shocked some, educated others, and inspired families everywhere. Messages poured in from parents who finally felt seen. But behind the scenes, the Jennings family debated whether going public was the right move. Jeanette insisted that if they were going to tell Jazz's story, it had to be through someone she trusted, Barbara Walters. What viewers didn't see was the toll this took on Jeanette. She shielded Jazz from backlash, monitored hate mail, and quietly endured the emotional strain of keeping her daughter safe. And she began building a deeper story inside her, a story of worry, sacrifice, and strength that she wasn't ready to share. Not yet. In 2015, The Jennings family launched I Am Jazz on TLC, bringing their lives into homes across America. Viewers followed Jazz through high school, medical treatments, and the ups and downs of adolescence. The show broke new ground for transgender representation and became a top-rated program. But with visibility came hate. Right-wing figures and internet trolls hurled insults, called the family abusive, and even issued threats. One high-profile attack came from Derek Dillard, a fellow reality TV figure who misgendered Jazz and called being transgender a myth. Jazz received death threats. People called the family's home. The hate wasn't just digital. It was real and dangerous still. Jeanette stood strong. She publicly defended Jazz, handled online cruelty, and did everything in her power to let her daughter grow up with joy, not fear. But privately, she was carrying an ever-growing weight. As Jazz entered adulthood and enrolled at Harvard University, the world kept watching. She faced the usual academic stress, but also the added pressure of being a public figure. While Jazz documented her weight loss journey and spoke openly about mental health, the emotional toll remained high. And for Jeanette, letting go wasn't easy. In a raw, heartfelt interview with People magazine, Jeanette and Jazz sat down side by side to finally share their truth. "I don't think I'll ever fully let Jazz go," Jeanette admitted. "Not in a codependent way, but because I've worried for her for so long," Jazz responded gently. "You can't be worried every time I'm not with you. When will the day come when you no longer track me on your phone?" There was silence. Then Jeanette answered softly, "There are just so many people out there who don't respect transgender people." It wasn't a dramatic confession. It was the honest voice of a mother who had carried years of fear, grief, and love. Today, Jazz is thriving in many ways, pursuing her education, advocating for the LGBTQ community, and continuing to grow into the woman she's always been. Jeanette, too, is entering a new chapter. After years spent in the trenches defending her daughter, she is slowly learning to step back. Not out of Jazz's life, but away from the front lines. Their bond remains unbreakable. But now, Jeanette's wish is simple. "I want Jazz to find something she's passionate about. I want her to experience love. I want her to be happy." Jazz echoed that sentiment. "I want the same for my mom. She's given so much to me. And I want her to be happy too." Those few words carried the weight of a lifetime. Years of advocacy, worry, unconditional love, and transformation. Jeanette's journey wasn't just about supporting a transgender daughter. It was about evolving alongside her. It was about learning, unlearning, showing up even when it was hard, and standing firm in the face of a world that didn't always show kindness. Their story isn't just about being transgender. It's about love, the kind that holds firm even when tested. It's about sacrifice, the daily, invisible decisions parents make behind closed doors. It's about growth, individually and as a family. And above all, it's about resilience, the kind that doesn't always roar, but quietly endures. When Jeanette finally broke her silence, she didn't unleash anger, blame, or sensationalism. What she shared instead was something far more powerful, the quiet strength of a mother who had carried fear, confusion, and pain, but still chose compassion. She had stood in front of the cameras, yes, but she had also stood behind her daughter in every hallway, every bathroom battle, every doctor's office, every online attack. And in telling the full story, she gave voice to the unspoken truths that so many other parents carry. She became not just Jazz's advocate, but a model for other mothers and fathers who are trying to navigate similar paths. Parents who wonder if they'll ever understand. Parents who fear they'll get it wrong. Parents who love their children but don't yet know how to show that love in a way that affirms their child's identity. Jeanette's honesty gave them something to hold on to. Because the truth is, there was no rulebook. There was no written guide for how to raise a transgender child in a society that still struggles to make space for them. Jeanette had to write her own manual, one day at a time, one challenge at a time. Some pages were filled with joy. First smiles, first affirming outfits, first moments of pride. Others were etched with fear, public backlash, hate mail, medical decisions, the very real worry that her daughter could one day be harmed simply for being who she is. And yet, through it all, Jeanette never let go of Jazz's hand. That kind of parenting doesn't come from politics. It doesn't come from social media arguments or viral moments. It comes from a deep place inside, a willingness to learn, to listen, and to show up again and again, even when the road ahead is uncertain. What makes their story resonate so deeply isn't just the visibility, it's the vulnerability. So many LGBTQ youth grow up feeling isolated. Many are rejected by the people who are supposed to love them unconditionally. Some are silenced. Others are forced to live inauthentic lives just to feel safe in their own homes. The statistics are heartbreaking. LGBTQ+ youth are far more likely to experience depression, anxiety, homelessness, and suicide, all because of rejection and lack of support. That's why what Jeanette and Jazz have done matters. Their story isn't just a documentary or a TV series. It's a lifeline. It's a beacon for young people who need to see that it's possible to be loved exactly as you are. And for parents who need proof that they, too, can grow and embrace their children without fear. Jeanette and Jazz have been invited to speak at conferences, schools, medical institutions, and support groups. They've heard from people across generations. Older transgender women who never had the chance to live as their true selves until much later in life. Teenagers who finally felt seen for the first time. Parents who once struggled but now proudly support their children. Their impact stretches far beyond their own family. In many ways, they've helped change the conversation entirely. But as powerful as that public impact is, what makes their story truly remarkable is how grounded it remains in the personal. Behind every headline, every speech, every book or episode, there are still quiet nights. There are still moments when Jeanette worries. There are still times when Jazz feels overwhelmed. Fame doesn't erase fear. Advocacy doesn't eliminate anxiety. And no matter how far they've come, there's always more healing to do, more growing to embrace. In that way, their story mirrors so many others, because every family is navigating something. Every parent is learning how to let go. Every child is trying to define who they are, on their own terms, in their own time. Jeanette's struggle to step back is not a weakness. It's a deeply human experience, one rooted in love. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning. It means trusting. Trusting that the lessons you've poured into your child will carry them forward. Trusting that they will make mistakes, fall, get back up, and find their own strength. And that's what Jazz is doing. With every new chapter, she's proving not just to the world, but to herself, that she can fly. She's learning that her story doesn't have to fit anyone else's mold. She can define herself not as a symbol or spokesperson, but simply as Jazz, a brilliant, brave, imperfect, powerful young woman navigating adulthood. For Jeanette, this new season means learning how to be present without hovering, to protect without controlling, and to love without fear. It means letting her daughter walk forward while she quietly steps aside, not out of the frame, but into a different one. It's a transformation that many mothers face. But when your child's identity has made them a target, letting go takes a different kind of courage. The kind that doesn't come easy. The kind that keeps you up at night. The kind that requires faith not just in your child, but in the world they are stepping into. So, what's harder? Is it standing up for your child against a world that wants to erase them? Or is it trusting that you've prepared them well enough to face that world on their own? For Jeanette, the answer might be both. And maybe that's true for many parents, that love is not just about protection. It's about preparing your children to live boldly, even when you're not there to shield them. It's about believing in their strength, even when you still remember the days they clung to your leg. Jazz is no longer that little girl with pigtails playing in her mother's heels. She's a woman, a student, an advocate, a person with dreams, struggles, and a future that she's still figuring out. And Jeanette is no longer just the protective mom on the sidelines. She's someone who's grown and changed just as much as her daughter. Someone who now carries not just her own truth, but the stories of countless other parents who look to her for hope, guidance, and a reminder that love is always a choice. As they both step into the future, one thing is certain: their journey isn't over. There will be new battles, new milestones, new moments of doubt and celebration. But whatever comes next, they will face it as they always have, together. And maybe that's the most powerful message of all. Love doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. It requires showing up, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard, when you're scared, when you don't know what to say, when you worry that you're getting it all wrong. It's in those moments, those messy, complicated, beautiful moments, that real love reveals itself. And that's what Jeanette and Jazz have shown the world. So, we ask again, what do you think is harder? Fighting for your child's place in the world, or trusting that they'll find it without you? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Share your experience, or simply let someone know that their story matters. Thank you for being part of this journey. And wherever you are in yours, we hope you remember this: there is strength in vulnerability. There is courage in love. And there is power in telling the truth, even when the world isn't ready for it. Until next time, take care,